Hey Jack, I'm back, and with me, another speed art. This time I'm illustrating the Riddler, and I will be ranking every on-screen version of him. I just released his evolution on my main channel, which I would highly suggest watching after this speed art, and for that video I watched every bit of Riddler media released since 1966, so I got a lot to say about him. But with that said, let's get into the Riddler ranking. And coming in last place, by a mile, is his young dapper DC superhero girls version. This is just an all-around lame take on the character. Turning him into a lovesick teenager pining over Batgirl is just laughable. But this is meant for children, so I'm not gonna step on it for too long, so let's keep on moving. Coming in 14th is his portrayal in Young Justice. While I don't hate his look here, although the gap tooth is an odd choice, and the sideburns are a little strange looking, I just find him to be the most annoying adult Riddler, and he barely gets any time to flesh out his character, so I can't really put him any higher. Unlucky number 13 is going to be his second portrayal in the DCAU, namely how he's portrayed in Superman the Animated Series, and the new Batman Adventures. For some reason they changed him from an actual, intelligent, well-dressed character in Batman the Animated Series, and instead they have him come off as a flamboyant, bodysuit-wearing weirdo. Plus, I'm not a huge fan of the bald Riddler look, and this is the first on-screen portrayal of that, so it comes in at number 13. And some people may be annoyed at my next placement, but remember, I'm only judging him on his movie appearance, not on his video game appearance here. And coming at 12th place is his Assault on Arkham version. He's just kind of bland and boring, and while he's a big part of the middle act of this movie, his portrayal and voice work are just pretty run-of-the-mill. I know in the games he ends up looking quite a bit different and people really like that portrayal, but the movie version here just doesn't do it for me. In 11th is going to be his radical departure in Batman Hush. Now I have no problem with them changing the comic storylines. I never read the comics, so that doesn't bother me. It's just they spend the whole movie building up Hush as this big bad villain, but when he reveals himself to be the Riddler, he starts acting really dumb all of a sudden. It's like a switch flipped and he's just a whole new character all of a sudden, but I do appreciate that they changed up the Riddler so much for this outing. Coming into the top 10 is going to be his portrayal in the TV series version of DC Superhero Girls. This is mostly a throwback to his 1966 look, and I think it works really well in this snappy animation style. It's a show young people can enjoy, but I think adults can appreciate it too, at least more than the online shorts version. Come on, that Riddler sucked. Coming in 9th place is his portrayal in Justice League Action. While his look is pretty simple here, I think the voice work and his rivalry with the Joker make for a unique take on the character, and the episode that he appears in works pretty well. Plus, this is one of the few versions where he's like a sort of reformed type villain and not actually like super evil, so that makes it at least a little bit unique. And the first live action version to appear on this list is his portrayal by John Astin in the 1966 Batman series. He only got to appear in one episode in the second season, and he had big shoes to fill left over by Frank Gorshin. And while his portrayal isn't awful, it just doesn't quite have the maniacal oomph that the Gorshin version has. Although it is pretty cool to see the Addams Family star in the Batman series. Lucky number 7 is gonna go to his appearance in the Harley Quinn animated show. While his initial portrayal is pretty typical for the Riddler, I really think this version starts to shine when he gets more beefy and teams up with Dr. Psycho. Their banter makes for a lot of good moments, plus he's voiced by the Dean from Community, so you can't really go wrong here. Coming in 6th place is going to be Jim Carrey's portrayal from Batman Forever. Now, I know a lot of people are mixed on how Jim Carrey acted as the Riddler, but I think he does a pretty great job here. He steals almost every scene he's in, and if you're a fan of Jim Carrey in The Mask or The Cable Guy, you'll probably get a kick out of his appearance as the Riddler. Sure, it's a little goofy, but the whole movie is goofy, and he's the best part of it, so that's why he comes in at number 6. And sliding into the top 5 is Corey Michael Smith's portrayal in the live-action Gotham TV series. This is the Riddler we get to spend the most time with, and I think Corey Michael Smith does a great job playing both his personalities, the shy enigma and the more evil and devilish Riddler. The split personality aspect adds a lot to his allure and allows for some great moments. The only issue I have with him is how he was played in the final episode. Both the costuming and his acting seemed way over the top and too goofy for the TV series, but his 80 or so episodes before that I find him quite riveting most of the time. In 4th place is going to be his portrayal in the 2004 Batman series. I hate his look here. They modeled him after Marilyn Manson for some reason, and it's way too goth for the Riddler. But with that said, his story arc and voice work by the amazing Robert Englund is terrific. Of course, Englund is best known for portraying Freddy Krueger in the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, and his voice work here is top notch. It really is a testament to the writing of the character that even though I hate his look so much, I still really like this portrayal of the Riddler. And now, the coveted top 3 spots. Before I go on, let me know your top 3 favorite Riddlers below. And let's go! Third place goes to his more subdued portrayal in Batman the Animated Series. They turned him from the maniacal jumpsuit wearing psycho most cartoons and live action shows portrayed him as, and they made him more sinister, and more of a Batman villain that used his brains instead of his brawn. The voice work is also great here, and the few episodes we get where he's a main character are really well done, so that's why he rounds out the top 3. Coming in second place is Frank Gorshin's portrayal in Batman 1966. Frank Gorshin is credited with turning the Riddler from a C-lister in the comics to the A-lister he deserves to be. Frank Gorshin won an Emmy Award for this series, and it's well deserved. His laugh is iconic, and his over-the-top mannerisms and costuming inspired so many different animated versions of him, and the suit and bowler hat look also inspired future suit looks in the comics. His portrayal is an absolute classic and deserves to be recognized for decades to come. But coming in at first place is going to be Paul Dano's portrayal in the 2022 Batman movie. Much like how the DCAU turned him from a maniacal, cackling villain to the more subdued, thought-provoking villain, the Batman instead reimagines him as more like a Zodiac and Seven-inspired serial killer, and this change-up is pretty awesome. Paul Dano gives an amazing performance as the Riddler, and his costuming is still identifiable as the character, but brings something completely new to the table. I wouldn't be surprised to see the comics or future animated versions to become inspired by this look in future runs. Plus, Paul Dano briefly gets to become more maniacal near the end when he talks to Batman, but more in a mentally unstable way, less supervillainy. So for how much they took risks with this version of the Riddler, the 2022 version comes in first. And that's my ranking of the old Riddly Diddly. Check out his evolution on my animation channel, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. I'd like to thank my recent patrons, Nathan Poat and Andrew Mormon, and until next time, I've been Aaron, and I'll tell you something later.